Hey everyone, Richard here from Calvin Wazoo, and it looks like I can finally wrap up my series about the albums of my decades. I started this with albums that were released and that I owned the year I was born, 1958, and then going each decade. I got kind of lost in the 70s. Uh, well, I'm back on track now. And it should be easier to finish because I really don't have that many albums that were released in these final decades. But here we go. Start off with this is 1988. All right. Albums released 1988, and we've got this one here, Social Distortion, Prison Bound. This was actually not my first Social Distortion release. It was, now the name's escaping me. Yeah, it was Somewhere Between Heaven and Hell, which I heard a song, well, actually, a couple songs from that release on the show. Remember it? 120 Minutes? So that got me hooked into listening to Social Distortion. The cool thing too is, we're talking right at the end. This one is 1988, and then going into the 90s. A lot of releases at that time were being mastered totally digital. So when they were released on vinyl, they didn't sound all that great. However, the nice thing with the Social Distortion releases is that they were originally analog and then converted into digital for release on CDs. So that was great when I went back to find, I had them on CDs, but when I went to find them on vinyl, I was kind of concerned because there were albums that you look at the CD and it says DDD, meaning it was a digital master, and then it gets pressed into vinyl. And often, it's cool to have the vinyl, but I would rather listen to it on CD because it sounds better on the CD than it does on vinyl. With these guys, however, their releases were originally mastered analog, and so the vinyl releases sound really, really good. This one took a long time for me to find because I didn't buy it when it first came out, and that is Tracy Chapman's eponymous debut. Just a solid album. I mean, um, so many great songs. Talking about a revolution, fast car, just a really, really great debut. And yeah, it took me a long time to find because it was so pricey. There were so many, there were a lot of them available, but man, the price. So I finally found one for a price that I was willing to pay. Um, but yeah, it wasn't, I guess it wasn't reissued. So you're pretty much dealing with the original or very early pressings in order to get it. Another one released in 1988 is this. You can't do that on stage anymore. The sampler, first in the series that Frank Zappa released, which I think, gosh, were there 6 or 7 of the You Can't Do That on Stage Anymore series. This was the only one released on vinyl. All the others were released on CD, which is, kind of do bad, but maybe it's better because it's less expensive to find them on CD to add to my collection. Another one from 1988, Michelle Shocked, Short, Sharp, Shocked. I got this, well, originally as a CD, but I bought it because of the cover. You know, I was looking at it going, man, oh, all right, I got to check this out. I had no idea who she is, and really like it. Very good folk singer with a little bit of a punk edge to it. Um, Real good stuff. And before my next one, I will need to do a little sippy. Sonic Youth, Daydream Nation. And I got it signed. This was not, again, my first experience with Sonic Youth. You know, back in would have been late '80s or early '90s. You know, about the time it was released, I bought Goo. Well, actually, it was probably a few years after it got released. Anyway, I bought these on CD, and Goo, it remains to my day, you know, my favorite one. This one though is super solid. Plus, they well, not the entire band. It was Thurston Moore and Steve Shelley, the drummer, were touring around giving these talks to promote a documentary film about Sonic Youth and their tours, and they had an event in Chicago that I went to, and so I took my album covers, this one, Goo, and Dirty, those are the ones I have on vinyl, and hoping that to get them signed, and I did. Steve Shelley was a little standoffish. I don't think he was into, you know, signing paraphernalia. Thurston Moore, though, was just a really, really nice guy. You know, I chatted with him briefly while he signed the covers. And he was looking, it was a Sunday night, and, you know, it's Chicago, but still, a Sunday night, it was winter and it was snowing out. Excuse me. And they were looking for a place to eat, and it was like getting close to midnight by the time their little talk, which was very interesting because we watched the film, and then we also they gave a little talk in the theater, learned some very cool things about their experience with Neil Young, and also touring. I think it was with Public Enemy. Um, but anyway, they he was asking for a place to eat, you know, tacos. So I told him about the Taco and Burrito Palace, which is fairly close to where I live, and it's in Boys Town. And I figured it was going to be open. And I told them they have great tacos, and I think they do. They have probably the best tacos on the north side. So I don't know if they ever went, but it was very cool, very, very cool. It was interesting too, you know, the song on here, the Total Trash, which is a great, great, great song. But during their talk, Thurston mentioned that was a song that they determined that they weren't ever going to play live. And he didn't expand on that, and I didn't think to ask him when he was signing this. But in re-listening to it, I'm thinking there are some other guitar parts that got recorded and taped over the original guitar parts in here, and that's probably why they couldn't. Because at least in the talk, he was saying from a technical standpoint, they didn't think they would be able to recreate Total Trash, you know, in a tour. All right, moving on here. We're still in 1988. Green by R.E.M. So very nice. A lot of songs, the very recognizable songs on here, but certainly songs that like Pop Song and Stand, Orange Crush, great great hits that got a lot of radio play when it came out, and super nice to have on vinyl. This is another one too that I originally got on CD, and this is the music on vinyl release of the Cowboy Junkies, the Trinity Session. It's the first time I ever heard the Cowboy Junkies, and I can't remember why I got the CD, but I think I heard them on being played on public radio, and I was totally amazed by Margot Timmons and her voice and this quiet, restrained playing, by the band members. And they recorded this inside a church, and inside the Trinity Church in Toronto, Canada. And, it's got some great covers, including, Blue Moon and some Lou Reed, Sweet Jane, the cover of I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. Oh, these are just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And like I say, the music on vinyl release, a cardstock for the cover is just superb, really nice, very, very heavy, glossy. And then, the pressing just sounds really, really good. And moving into, that's it for 1988. And then things get a little, well, even more sparse when we go into 1998 and 2008. So in 1998, I only have two from that year. And this one here, Air, Moon Safari. I recognized, when I got this, the song Sexy Boy, but and Kelly Watched the Stars. Those two, when I heard this, because I really was unfamiliar with Air, but people were telling me that I needed to get it, so I did. I got it without listening to it first, and really glad that I did, because I recognized those songs from radio play, and I'm like, wow, I had no idea that that's what it was. Then another band, this release from 1998, Spoon, a series of sneaks. And again, this was not my first Spoon release, but once I started listening to them, which I only started listening last, it would have been, August of 2019 is when I bought my first Spoon album. And it was pretty much, on a lark. I saw it in the bin. I liked the cover. It was a cute guy on the cover. So I thought, well, and I asked the store guy, I don't think he was the owner. He was someone that was just working there, but he just said, yeah, they're indie rock or something like that. So I thought, what the hell, I'll give it a try. And the album was Transference, and I was listening to it, and I was like, wow, these guys are really good. And I looked up their tour schedule, and they'd already played in Chicago the month before. So I'm like, damn, I missed them. But I've gone out and bought some other releases, including, this one to add to my Spoon collection. And that's it for 1998. For 2008, I only have one album released that year, and that's the eponymous Fleet Foxes, which also has the EP. This was released, well, the CD was released the same way, with both the main album and with an EP. The EP is called, right, Sun Giant. So nice stuff. I like this. And then That's it. Because when I looked up releases from 2018, I didn't have any. Kind of surprised me. But again, when we got into the 2000s, there, for me anyway, in my taste in music, I really kind of shy away from the corporatized, manufactured sound of a lot of popular releases. I mean, I know people enjoy them, but it's not quite for me. And plus, it was getting more difficult for me to find new music. So, but there have been some that have been released in '88, or excuse me, in '98 and 2008 and 2018 that I'd be interested in getting. So, hey, leave a comment down in the down under. What albums do you remember from like your birth year or from a decade? Or, do you have any of these? What do you think of them? So please like and subscribe so that you be able to see all my videos when I post them. So please remember, thank you for watching and always enjoy your music.